Well, I've got enough of the timbers cut now for the framework of the building. I've got the 17 10 by 10s, 16 foot long, and I've got 12 6 by 12s, 20 feet long. Well, I just got done with the 6 by 12s. I didn't get much extra other than the timbers themselves. I got a few 1-inch flitches and a couple 1-inch boards, but the size of the logs, it just didn't give me much more than what I needed out of them for the 6 by 12s. But now I can concentrate on cut and dimension lumber. I think the ones that I need the most of is going to be 1 by 12s for the decking on the roof. And I've kind of got it roughly figured I'm going to need around 40 of them, plus or minus, for each section if I do 40 feet long. So if I figure 45, then the minimum I need is 90, so let's say 100 1 by 12s. And then of course I'm going to need structural lumber, some 2-bys for the floor joists and the floor decking for the loft. And I was originally thinking 2 by 12s for the floor decking in the loft, but the span of that is only going to be 10 feet, actually less than 10 feet on each one of the bays in the loft, so I could get by with 2 by 10s, probably even 2 by 8s, but 2 by 10s would give me plenty strong enough for heavy work, heavy load up on that second floor in the loft floor. I'm going to concentrate on the 1 by 12s right now. So I've got my first log on the mill. It's going to be dedicated to the 1-bys. It's a 20-foot log, and this one was the smallest one I got. It's actually the second cut off of the biggest tree that I cut down. I got 2 logs out of the one big tree. The butt log is 20 feet, and then this was the second log in it. Well, it's just barely big enough to make a 12-inch cant. I got a little over 15 inches on the top and 18 and a half here on the butt. So there's plenty of room on the butt, but on the top it makes it kind of skinny up there. So some of my first 2 boards, probably on both sides of the cant, are going to have some weighing on them, but they'll be fine. They'll be good enough for what I need for sure. So anyway, I've got the mill all set up. I've got that log peeled on the cut line and washed down with a pressure washer. Hopefully got all the rocks embedded and stuff out of it. Everything's ready to go. We'll get started making some cuts here. Well, I've got my third face cut made now, and we're ready to roll that log over to the final side, the fourth side, and then just start cutting 1x12s out of it as we go down. I come awful close to screwing up that third side there. When I laid that log out there and measured it, I figured if I took about 1.5 inches off of each side, then that would give me a 12-inch cant out of that when I got all done. And I knew I was going to have some wane down there on that other end on those, so some of the boards there, the outer boards, were going to be maybe not quite so good, or I could cut them off shorter or whatever. And I compensated for the taper in the log by putting a sticker, broken piece of sticker underneath the far end down there to raise that end up, so it compensates for the taper so you don't get run out in the grain on that. Well, ordinarily, when I roll that log over, after I get the square cut down on it, that'll kick that shim out from underneath there, and it'll go down flat on the table. It didn't do that this time, and when I went to make my cut on the face cut, when I dropped that blade down, it looked like I had some pretty good meat on there. So I made my first cut at 13 inches, figuring I'd get a 1-inch board out of it. I'd come back the second time and drop it down to 12 inches and get a halfway decent 1-inch board out of it. It's not going to be a 1x12, but it'd be a 1-inch flitch. So that's what I did, and as the saw was moving down the log, I noticed that there wasn't any run out on the cut. The cut wasn't getting deeper as it got down to this end. Now I got to wondering what the heck was going on. The small end should have been a smaller offcut than this end down here, so it should have tapered up, and it wasn't doing that. And I realized that that shim was still underneath the other side, at the other end down there. When it got done, I picked it up, pulled that shim out, and brought the saw back down. Now fortunately, I was getting greedy and trying to get an extra board out of that, because that left me enough meat on there that I could get down and get my 12-inch cut on this board here that comes off there. It winds up being about 1/8 of an inch down on the far end and a full inch on this end. But if I'd have dropped that down to 12 inches to make my cut down there, then that would have screwed that up, because it'd only been 11 1/4 inches down on that end instead of 12 inches. So anyway, I got lucky on that by being greedy. It's September 7th. It's afternoon now. I don't know what time it is exactly. Haven't been paying much attention. I got 4 of the logs milled up into 1x12s. I didn't get as many as I had thought I was going to. The last one I got 15 out of it, but the rest of them were just too small on the top end to get. I thought I was going to get 12 out of each one, get a 12x12 cant out of each one, and get 12 boards out of them, but that just didn't happen. So I've got 2 logs left. We put one on the mill last night after I got done with the 4th one, the big one, and it's another smaller one, so it's not going to make 12 boards. But it's raining out today again, and I'm not going to work outside right now. So the forecast yesterday for the 6th was for strong winds, 30, 40, 50 mile an hour winds, and heavy rain all day long. We're supposed to get inch and a half of rain or more yesterday, and then another inch and a half today. Well, the rain didn't materialize yesterday. The wind blew, and it looked like it was going to start pouring down rain any minute, but it didn't. When we wound up getting a lot of wind, 25, 30, gusts to 40 or higher, but it didn't rain until yesterday afternoon, late in the day, and we started getting showers, but it just poured down rain overnight, and most of the morning this morning we probably got 2 inches of rain between this time yesterday and just a few minutes ago. Now it's let up now, and it was drizzling for a while, but now it's not drizzling. It's just, I don't know what you'd call it. It's not really a sprinkle. It's just not a heavy rain. It's just steady, light rain, heavy drops, just enough to get you wet outside. Well, I've got that log laying on the mill ready to mill up, but I don't feel like getting all wet. And I've got plenty of stuff to do inside here now. I've got to get my hangar cleaned up and my shop straightened up because I've just been dumping stuff down in piles. I've got a whole bunch of bandsaw blades to sharpen up, of course, and those I need to reset the kerf on them. And then I'm going to set up my mill, or my sharpener, and change the angle on it. I've been sharpening those at 10 degrees. I think I'm going to cut the angle down to 8 degrees and see if I can't get through those spruce logs better. It goes through the logs pretty good, but every time it hits one of those knots, or not every time, but frequently when it hits a knot, it starts either climbing or diving, or climbs out in one side and dives out the other, or vice versa. So anyway, I've got that to do. But one of the things I've got to do is I've broken quite a few bandsaw blades here over the summer. Most of my blades were pretty well worn, sharpened them 6, 7, sometimes a dozen times a piece. They were all getting tired, so I started getting a lot of broken blade. Well, they're kind of a mess here. I've just brought them in here and dumped them on the floor in here, and they're kind of a mess, kind of like a bear trap or a man trap. So I've got out my shear, and I'm trimming these up to lengths that I can manage. I can put them away someplace, recycle them, or whatever. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So here we go. The blade is broken, so I'll straighten out the end here where it got kinked. Put this in here and just like wrestling a python or something here, but I haven't figured out what to do with these yet. If I was down south someplace, we could just gather them up with all the rest of the scrap metal and send them to the recycle plant, but that's not something that's too feasible here. I thought that it could use these. They're good high carbon steel, and I thought they could be used to make knives out of or something. But I don't really need another project right now. We've got plenty to do besides adding something else onto the table. So anyway, this one was kinked up pretty good. Oh, anyway, I got a whole pile of blades down here I've got to go through. Well, that's part of it today. I'll get that taken care of so I can get these out of the way, and then I can go ahead and finish swamping out my hangar here. And I've got to swamp out the shop and get it straightened out, all my tools put away, and get it organized. If we're going to run into this rainy, foul weather and I'm not going to work outside, I've got plenty of stuff to do that I can do undercover. I can finish that or work some more on that mobile dimension sawmill, and I've got to make stands for the timbers to go in the forms, and a couple other things. The weather's supposed to change tomorrow. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow. I just got called to go flying tomorrow, so that'll take up tomorrow for the nice weather. So I get ready for winter weather here and working indoors. Well, that's a big help. That was about I don't know, half a dozen blades or so there that were broken and or kinked so bad I couldn't use them again. The kinked ones, if I had a blade welder, knew how to weld those blades, I probably could have cut them out and spliced a piece into them and got a good blade out of them, but I just don't have that ability right now or the time to fool with it. So anyway, those were laying on the floor. They were grabbing me every time I came in here to do anything, and now I've got them down into a manageable pile there. I can get those put away someplace. I got a whole bunch of them up here someplace hidden away. Mostly they're just going to rust, but like I said, hopefully one of these days I can find some use for them. For right now, we'll get them out of the way, go on to some other project. Actually, I think it's quit raining for the time being. I might go out there and work on that log on the mill for a little bit. The sun got it started yesterday with a bark spud, getting the bark off of it. If it's going to hold off, I think I'll go out there and start that mill up and start milling that piece of wood. This is the 5th 20-foot log that I've broken down into 1x12s. I don't know how many 1x12s I've got. I was hoping I'd get 12 out of each one of these logs, but it's not turning out that way. They have too much weight on them to get 12 good boards out of them. I did get 1-inch boards out of them, but not full 12-inch wide. So the last one I did, I got 15 nice boards out of it. This one I'll get 13. The top one on here, there'll be 14 boards out of this one, but the top one doesn't have a straight edge on it enough to be usable as a 12-inch wide board. So that'll be 13. Well, I got one more log up there, one of the logs that trees that we cut down and skidded out and brought home. I got one more 20-foot log left up there to mill up. So hopefully I'll get it down here. Probably won't be able to get to it for a couple days because the weather's supposed to turn sour again here this afternoon, and we're looking at 30, 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rains for the next few days. Again, we just got over one spell of that. It rained heavy yesterday, and then yesterday afternoon it cleared up enough that I got this log broke down. I'll go bring that carriage back. Alright, that gives me 13 usable, 12 really nice 1x12s. So I'm going to go ahead and get the mill back here and let it cool off, shut it down, get the Bobcat warmed up and get those slabs up there out of the way, get those put away, and then take these 1x12s and put them away, get them stacked and stickered, and I'll drag out that last log and get it down here on the mill anyway so it's ready to go. So that'll be late afternoon on Sunday, September 12th, and I'm going to go ahead and start cutting this log up. This is the last of the 20-foot spruce logs I had, the last of the logs that we cut this spring and brought out. I've got to go out and get some more trees down to make some more logs for some more 1x12s to finish this building up with, and then some 2x12s or 2x10s and odds and ends of other lumber. But the next step I was planning on was going ahead and going out and getting some more rock to finish leveling out that pad up there we were making. Now they've got all the logs off of it. They were on the low side of the pad, and I can go ahead and haul in some more rock there and finish that out and bring it up to grade. But we've kind of got a little change of plan, I think. I've got this pad here that I made a few years ago that's right here next to the cabin, and I've got a trailer with some stuff stored in it and a boat trailer and some other things stored on it. This was all a big bank that came out clean past here where we're standing now at one time, and I've dug that out and leveled it all out and got it all filled in with gravel there. It's all down to hard pan, and it's been sitting there for several years now like that with stuff on it, so it's pretty well settled. We kind of decided that we might just go ahead and build that warehouse down here instead of up there by the house. This way it's kind of out of sight of the house when we get the house finished. And it's also closer down here to where my shop is and where I have the air compressor and stuff for using air tools and whatnot. To do that, I'm going to have to move all this stuff out of here and do a little prep work on this pad. Still got to do the same stuff of making the footings and all of that for it, so that's still up and coming. But I still want to get that pad up there above the house leveled up and graded out. We can use it to put the boat and these trailers and stuff on for storage and some other things. So that's kind of what I was doing this morning. Now, it wasn't a very nice day today. It was foggy and drizzly with intermittent rain showers most of the day, but it's the best day we've had for a while and the best day we're going to have for a while according to the forecast. Well, Thursday we had a pretty nice day, and I flew that day, did the last of my stream surveys. Might get one more, maybe something like that. I might get some mountain goat surveys too. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But the way the weather has been, not holding my breath on any of that. So anyway, today was the best day that we're going to have for a while. I got outside today and did some work. I went up there and moved some stuff around on that pad that was kind of in the way, got it shuttled around where we can get in there and dump the rock on that and get that up to grade. And then I needed a new vault for my outdoor composting toilet. So we dug a new vault for that and got that moved. The drizzle and everything is kind of let up, so I got the camera out. I'm going to go ahead and break this log down. Another nasty day today. Day we should be in the house doing stuff or in the shop cleaning up. Foggy and rainy, steady rain all day long. It's not pouring down rain, but it's just steady rain. It's just been this way all day. And the forecast is not for it to get any better. Good day to be inside doing work under cover. But I've been out here all day. Had all those slabs that we've cut off of all that logs that we milled up. I was going to burn those up and get rid of them, and I got thinking, my neighbor down the road here has a outdoor wood-fired boiler that'll burn the green wood and stuff in it. I asked him if he wanted it, and he come over yesterday and looked at the pile and said he would take it. So we've been loading that out all day here today. While I was waiting for him to take his loads and unload them, I've been working on this log, and I just got it cut up into 1x12s. I got 12 nice 1x12s out of that, and one 1-inch flitch. So that is all done. That's the last of my spruce logs that I cut this spring. It's not going to be enough to do what we need to do. I'm going to have to go get some more. That one we need to get in the stack, but I'm going to leave it there for right now. We got rid of all the flitches, even the one that just came off of that one. Sounds like he's back for another load, so I'll get my rain gear back on and get down there and get him loaded up again, get rid of this stuff. It's Thursday, September 16th. Another rainy day in southeast Alaska. The weather the last couple of weeks has just been wet and windy. I haven't been able to get a whole lot done outside. I did get the last log milled up into 1x12s. There's my stack of 1x12s there. That's also got the 6x12s in it, and the bottom layer are those 6x6s I cut out of the last of the 16-foot logs. So they're all stacked up and stickered there, and we got them covered up to kind of keep the rain off of them. It's kind of hard to do. There's the pile that I cut earlier. That was the 16-foot logs, and that's got 17 10x10s, 16-foot 10x10s, and then some 1x6s and 2x6s and some 1x flitches and some 2x4s and other odds and ends all stacked up there. So that's all the logs that we drug out of the woods this spring, all cut up. Here's where that log deck was there, 2 log decks. That one pile was pretty big. So that's all cleaned out of there. I've got 6 more trees up there that we can cut down and get out. But before I do that, I want to straighten this pad out. Now we hauled all that rock in this spring and kind of filled that pad in right over here where the timber, the lumber and everything is sitting, that trailer and kind of that half of the pad. This half over here was done earlier. That's what we did first a couple of years ago. It's down quite a bit lower than the rest of the pad, so we need to bring that up to grade. So that's what I wanted to do next, was start hauling rock. There's places there that needs to come up about 4 feet or so. We got quite a bit of rock to haul, and I was all set to start doing that. My wife noticed that our rock permit had expired, so she called up yesterday to see if she could get an extension on it or get a new one on it, and we're kind of waiting to hear back from the forester about that now. So we've decided not to use this pad to build our warehouse on. This is what I was going to build it on, but we decided to put it in a pad that down there where the sawmill is next to the cabin, and that's going to be handier because it's close to the shop where I have my air compressor for using air tools and electricity and stuff like that, and it's also out of the main view of the house when we get the house finished up here. But I want to get this built up and leveled out and packed up in, because we have to move all the stuff that we have stored down there up here so we can start working on that spot, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the sawmill. Anyhow, there's what logs look like when they're no longer logs. Well, now we have to convert them into a building.